Hello, YouTubers, and welcome to Level Headed News. This is your host, Brenda. I have several episodes for you today. Here we are on the 27th day of January of 2017. In this particular episode, I have 6 articles for you, and they are listed in the description of this video. So you can pull them up and take a look at them and get whatever information you might need. The first one we have here is off of Conservative Tribune, and it says, Red Alert, Trump issues massive punishment to Mexico for backing out of meeting, 20% tariff. I broke the story yesterday after it came out that Mexico had canceled their meeting with President Trump, and this is a little bit of follow-up on it, this one and the next article, as a matter of fact. And here's how this reads. President Donald Trump will ask Congress to approve a 20% tax on imports from Mexico to pay for his planned wall on the United States southern border, the Associated Press reported on Thursday. The announced proposal came after Mexican President Enrique Pena Nieto, I still got it wrong. I'm horrible with these names. Enrique Pena Nieto, there we go, abruptly canceled an upcoming meeting with Trump in response to several executive orders Trump has issued related to illegal immigration, including construction of the border wall, which Trump still insists will be eventually paid for by Mexico. Trump has already shown during his first week as president that he is a man of action and not one to sit around waiting patiently for allies and rivals to get on board with his agenda, foreign or domestic. This move is just further proof that Trump wastes no time in getting things done. Other nations would be wise to take note. According to The Hill, White House spokesman Sean Spicer told reporters on board Air Force One that Trump's proposed 20% tax on Mexican imports would cover the costs of the wall's construction. We can do $10 billion a year and easily pay for the wall just through that mechanism alone. That's really going to provide the funding, said Spicer of the proposal, which is expected to be part of a broader package of tax reform measures. And there is video in this if you'd care to pull that up and take a look at it. It says, to be sure, we as conservatives are typically not in favor of tariffs as they generally result in higher prices for consumers, loss of American jobs, and at times by those nations hit by the tariffs. It is also worth noting that border adjustment taxes, which is what this particular tariff would be, are extraordinarily complex with many moving parts, which was recently explained in depth by CBS News. That said, this border tax on Mexico will certainly hurt them more than it hurts the U.S., at least in the short run. It may not even be an issue in the long run. This appears to be a temporary tariff designed to fulfill a specific purpose, namely funding the construction of the wall. Given Trump's mastery of the art of the deal, this financial shot across the bow of Mexico could also simply be a strong negotiating ploy intended to bring them back to the discussion table after the initial meeting was canceled. It is highly plausible that Trump and Pena Nieto will end up having their meeting together eventually. Agreement will be worked out, one which provides Mexico to fund the wall in some fashion while preventing the imposition of tariff, sort of the old tried and true carrot and stick tactic. One that I have for you is off of Business Insider, and it says, the peso is tumbling after Mexico's president said he wouldn't meet with Trump. The peso was tumbling Thursday after Mexico's president Enrique Pena Nieto announced he had canceled a meeting scheduled for next week with President Donald Trump. The peso was down by 1.2% at 21.3175 per dollar as of 11:57 a.m. Eastern Time. The currency had been up by as much as 0.8% at 20.9358 per dollar about 8:50 a.m. Eastern Time. This morning, we have informed the White House that I will not attend the meeting scheduled for next Thursday with the POTUS, Pena Nieto tweeted, according to an online translation. That earlier on Thursday morning from Trump's personal Twitter account that said the U.S. has a $60 billion trade deficit with Mexico. It has been a one-sided deal from the beginning of NAFTA with massive numbers of jobs and companies lost. If Mexico is unwilling to pay for the badly needed wall, then it would be better to cancel the upcoming meeting. Pena Nieto was initially scheduled to meet with Trump next Tuesday in what would have been the duo's first bilateral meeting since the new U.S. administration took office. Mexican opposition urged Pena Nieto to cancel the meeting to protest Trump's demand that Mexico pay for a wall on its border with the U.S., according to reports on Wednesday. Recorded address that was nationally televised, Pena Nieto said, "I regret and reject the decision of the U.S. to build a wall." Trump told ABC News anchor David Muir in an interview broadcast Wednesday night that he wanted construction on the wall to begin as soon as possible. Asked whether that meant construction would start within months, Trump said, "I would say in months, yeah." So there you have that one. The next article I have for you is off of BizPac Review. And this one says, inconvenient flashback. Top Democrats voted for the border wall Trump is building. Trump will be able to the construction of a wall on the Mexico border Wednesday with the stroke of a pen because of a 2006 law passed with the help of Democrats, including Barack Obama, Joe Biden, and Hillary Clinton. Sixth law authorized the construction of a 700 miles of fencing along the southern border, as well as additional lights, cameras, and sensors to enhance security. Although former President George W. Bush signed the measure into law, the Democrat-controlled Congress that took over a few months later ensured it would never be completed by means of an amendment to a 2008 spending bill. Moved an explicit requirement the wall be made of double-layer fencing and gave the Department of Homeland Security authority to put in place less effective barriers, such as simple that do not keep pedestrians out. As a result, Democrats were able to avoid politically unpopular vote against the wall and then turn around and quietly gut its construction. But Trump and Republicans in the new Congress now plan to use that law to ensure proper wall is constructed. The law was never actually repealed. The federal government is still authorized to build a substantial wall on the southern border. Congress doesn't have to pass a new law to begin construction and can instead package the funds necessary. Massive spending bill Democrats would have a politically hard time opposing. Trump may get a head start on the process by diverting other funds congressional leaders have indicated are available for the project, ensuring a snafu over the spending bill doesn't hinder prompt construction of the wall. If Trump and Republicans follow through, a number of top Democrats will find handed Trump the border wall they now oppose. Their only option to block the construction would be to shut down the government over the matter by blocking the spending bill, a strategy they have consistently mocked and derided Republicans for using in the past. In addition to then Senators Obama, Biden, and Clinton, 64 House Democrats and 23 Senate Democrats voted for the wall in 2006. Many of them are still in Congress, including newly established Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer. Other Democrats in the Senate who voted for the wall in 2006 are Senators Barbara Boxer of California, Sherrod Brown, Ohio, then in the House, Tom Carper of Delaware, Dianne Feinstein of California, Barbara McCluskey of Maryland, Bill Nelson of Florida, Debbie Stabenow of Michigan, and Ron Wyden of Oregon. There are also a number of Democrat representatives still in the House who voted for the bill: Sanford Bishop of Georgia, Corrine Brown of Florida, Michael Caponano of Massachusetts, Jim Cooper of Tennessee, Jim Costa of California, Peter DeFazio of Oregon, Steve Israel of New York, Ron Kind of Wisconsin, Daniel Lipinski of Illinois, Stephen Lynch of Massachusetts, me of New York, Bill Pascal, Bill Pascarell Jr. of New Jersey, Colin Peterson of Minnesota, C.A. Dutch Ruppenberger of Maryland, Tim Ryan of Ohio, and Adam Smith of Washington. Former Democrat Representative Barney Frank and now disgraced former Democrat Representative Anthony Weiner also voted for the bill. President-elect Donald Trump made the construction of a real wall along the entire 2,000-mile stretch of the southern border with Mexico a central part of his campaign. He has said the beautiful wall will be from 35 to 50 feet high and made of precast concrete. I would build a great wall, and nobody builds walls better than me, believe me, and I build them very inexpensively, he said in his speech announcing his candidacy for the presidency. I will build a great, great wall on our southern border, and I will have Mexico pay for that wall, mark my words. That I have for you is off of Refugee Resettlement Watch, and it says, Trump watch, don't leave the Rohingya off the extreme vetting list. I fear the Trump people don't know all the questionable ethnic groups we are admitting. When Rutgers reported that President Trump would sign an executive order restricting immigration from the regions of the world hotspots, the reporter listed these countries, or I assume they mean these nationalities because many are no longer in their own countries, but are spread around the globe. Syrians, Iraqis, Iranians, Libyans, Somalis, Sudanese, and Yemenis. However, we must not leave off the list thousands of devout Rohingya Muslims we are admitting from Burma, Bangladesh. There's no way they are being vetted properly as they wander around Southeast Asia. I have a whole category, 194 previous posts going back years on Burma, ethnic minority, Rohingya, and since I am running out of the time this morning, I will be away today. You might want to click here, there's a link, and learn a bit more about them. Also see the discussion about their admission to the U.S. in the most recent report from President Obama, and there's a link that you can click on there. This last September, search the report for Rohingya. And as an ethnic minority group of special humanitarian concern, they do not have to prove individually that they would be returned to Burma or Bangladesh. They need only to say they are Rohingya and they are automatically refugees. We pick them up in Thailand and Malaysia. Malaysia is a safe Muslim country, so there's no reason that they couldn't just stay there. We have taken thousands so far, 13,500 during the Obama administration. And there's a link that you can click on there to get more information. Fiscal year. When I worked on numbers at RapsNet this morning, I checked on Burmese Muslim numbers and was surprised to find that 26% of the Burmese people we were bringing in are Muslim. This data is just for this fiscal year of 2017 up until today. And that date was the 25th of January that this was put out. Muslim in fiscal year 2017 is 590. Burma is 1. And then the total, I'm not sure where they come up with this, but the total was 2,251. It says today's report on Burmese Muslim refugees being placed in your towns and cities. There you have that. It says this post filed in our Rohingya reports category, and there's a link that you can click on to look at that. It says, I will try to tell you about other ethnic groups that must be subject to extreme vetting later or tomorrow. So there'll be more coming on that information off of that site. The next one that we have is off of allenbwest.com, and it says, mass resignations hit Trump's administration. While President Trump is getting settled into office and starting his own agenda, liberals continue to throw roadblocks in his way. Democrats have been holding up his cabinet nominations for trivial reasons, even at the expense of national security and government. For its part, the media continues to try to delegitimize the president before he can accomplish many of his campaign promises, or turning the atmosphere in Washington toxic. The repercussions are severe, and have even started to trickle into areas of government, usually outside the boundaries of partisan political bickering. Today, as multiple senior-level federal employees resigned simultaneously. And then it says, from the Hill, the State Department's entire senior-level management officials resigned Wednesday, the Washington Post reported. Patrick Kennedy, the agency's undersecretary for management, who had served years, resigned unexpectedly, along with 3 of his top officials. Assistant Secretary of State for Administration Joyce Ann Barr, Assistant Secretary of State for Consular Affairs Michelle Bond, and Ambassador Gentry O. Smith, Director of the Office of Foreign Missions, resigned as well, the report said. All of them served under both Democratic and Republican administrations. They join a number of other officials who have departed since President Trump took office last week. Assistant Secretary of State for Diplomatic Security Gregory Starr retired, and Director of the Bureau of Overseas Building Operations Lydia Munzes. It's the single biggest simultaneous departure of institutional memory that anyone can remember, and that's incredibly difficult to replicate, said David Wade, who served as State Department Chief of Staff under Secretary of State John Kerry. The resignations are proof that people lack faith in the leadership of President Trump. One cannot help but point out that the liberal media helped create the toxic environment. The mass hysteria over Trump taking office is unprecedented, and the coverage he has received has been borderline propaganda at times. In the end, this may turn out to be a blessing in disguise. Americans voted for a change of direction when they voted for Donald Trump. Employees who worked for Presidents Bush and Obama are likely to provide that kind of change. With Rex Tillerson getting ready to take control of the State Department, new ideas and a change of direction will be made possible by resignations. Of course, Senate Democrats will have to stop blocking his nomination first. Final one that I have in this episode for you is off of BizPack Review, and it says, you want proof? He'll give you proof. Trump orders weekly report of crime committed by illegals. President Donald Trump is backing up his words with action. The president's executive orders are signed, called for a weekly report to be published of crimes committed by undocumented immigrants, the Hill reported. The Department of Homeland Security Secretary shall utilize the declined detainer outcome report or its equivalent, and on a weekly basis make a public comprehensive list of criminal actions committed by aliens and any jurisdiction that ignored or otherwise failed to honor any detainees with respect to such aliens, the order read. Trump's directive is a sign he will be backing up his actions with facts and surely wants to disclose the toll he believes illegal criminals take on American society. It was one of 2 executive orders on border security signed by the president during a visit to the Department of Homeland Security. The order is intended to block federal funding to sanctuary cities like San Francisco. Publishing the weekly list of crimes perpetuated by the undocumented immigrants in these cities would better inform the public regarding the public safety threats associated with sanctuary jurisdictions, the order stated. San Francisco Mayor Ed Lee and other Bay Area mayors slammed the order, KTVU reported. We will not give in to threats or political grandstanding, Lee said, adding that San Francisco receives $1 billion in federal funding across all categories. We will not allow this president to play politics with our safety and security, Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf said. The executive orders calling for construction of a border wall between the U.S. and Mexico and stricter immigration enforcement are in keeping with Trump's campaign promises to boost border security in the nation. The president tweeted a photo of the signing, adding that he has no higher duty than ensuring the safety of Americans. That's all I have for you in this episode. If you like what we're doing here, give it a thumbs up. Share it on your social media so everybody gets to see the news and hear the news. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done that yet. There's a bell beside that subscription button. If you click that, there's a box that'll pop up and you can check that box and you'll get email alerts every time I put a show up, and that way you'll stay informed. See you in the next episode.